Right. Well, speaking of fun topics, um, I wanted to get your thoughts on one of the words that drives me crazy. Um, so I've always said that, from the best of my observation, I think each country, each nationality has its own national obsession. We English people are obsessed with class. You know, there's working class, middle class, upper class. There are types of foods and drinks I could name, and you could tell me that's a working class food, that's a middle class food.
I certainly could.
They say that if you put three Englishmen on a desert island, they will have created a class system by lunchtime. The Americans,
Well, what do they call lunch? I mean, there you go.
yeah, the Americans, meanwhile, are obsessed with freedom.
Mm.
And not wrongly so, in my opinion, but that's their sort of national obsession, and all of this, of course, ties into the history of a country, the public consciousness, and all of that. I would say Russians' obsession, what Russians always talk about, is mentality.
Right. Okay.
Never stop talking about mentality. So before I give my 2 cents on it, what do you think? First of all, what does that mean, Russian mentality? And second of all, what do you think about it?
What does it mean? It's your approach, it's your outlook, isn't it? It's something you adopt. I think you can adopt for sure. For example, previously, if I'd seen a cup of water on the floor, I'd have thought, oh, somebody's left their drink on the floor. After 6.5 years in Russia, I would think, is the roof leaking? That's just, and it's just a different way of looking at the same thing. Another example, they have this wonderful phrase in Russian, "Работа не волк, в лес не убежит." So work is not a wolf; it won't run off into the woods. Now, when I heard that, I took it to mean work's not going anywhere. You may as well get on with it. A Russian apparently sees this completely differently. Same words, work's not going anywhere. Why get on with it? And it's just an utterly different approach. So I think that's mentality, isn't it? I think it's how you approach the same thing. Do you know?
So first of all, of course, there is definitely each country, because of their history, because of their culture, because of geographical factors, because of what all of this massive combination of factors. And it could be something so simple as I can tell a joke relating to the tax system. I can tell a joke relating to standing in line at the MFC or the passport stall or whatever, and then that's something that we can connect with on a personal level, even if it's so someone from Voronezh and Vladivostok can joke about the same thing, and they have this shared cultural connection. Mm-hmm. So yeah, of course. However, I don't think that that's how most people use that word. I think that this, русский менталитет is very oftentimes simply used when all other arguments are exhausted. And it drives me crazy, absolutely crazy. So, and just to reiterate, I'm not trying to offend anyone here. Absolutely, there is a certain world. Yeah, there is a certain worldview, a certain outlook on life, as you correctly say, that Russians share, and there's this shared cultural identity and literary corpus, and films and culture and music, and of course, absolutely. But I don't think that's how a lot of people use that phrase, because first of all, that this is kind of a suspect phrase, because a lot of people mean something different when they say it. For some people, the Russian mentality is, doing everything for yourself. For some people, it's, this взаимовыручка. For some people, it's getting drunk. For some people, it's здоровый образ жизни. For some people, it's living in peace. For some people, it's defending our borders. For some people, it's openness and accepting nationalities. For some people, it's conservative values and criticism of of certain lifestyle choices. And of course, all of that's fine, and you can have those debates. But don't tell me that the biggest country in the world, with an unbelievable variety of different peoples, different nationalities, has this one mentality. I don't buy it. I don't think it's true. And the way that people use it is very suspect. So, for example, I don't know if I ever told you this. You know the type of babushka who, she lived in my building, and we would walk dogs together very often.
Okay.
And she was of a certain generation, and she got her news mostly from the television.
Yeah.
By the way, that goes to what you were saying. If I say something like that, if I say, "Oh yeah, this is Mike. He watches news on TV." If I'm in the UK, I say, "Okay, brilliant." If I say, "This is Mike. He gets all of his news from Jelik," I say, "Oh, okay, one of those guys." Like in Russia, that means something.
Well, I know who he votes for. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But so this was a woman of a certain generation and a certain political outlook. So of course, there's not really any way you're going to change this person's mind. And she was great. I got on with her very well, and we had lovely chats. But every now and again, she would be in a particularly political mood, and she would start saying things like, Mike, what you need to understand about Russia is that Russia, in its entire history, has never started a conflict. Russia has never attacked another country.
I've heard that before.
And I said, what you are saying is absurd. If you have an even the most meager intellect with even an elementary understanding of history, you know that what you're saying is not true. And I reeled off a massive list of countries that the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, had attacked. And so as an example, I said, well, what do you say about the fact that the Soviet Union under Stalin attacked Poland as an ally of Nazi Germany? And she just said, no, history is wrong. And I said, it's not a question of opinion. You can read the secret protocols of the Ribbentrop-Molotov Act, and you can see this is not a peace treaty. This is an invasion plan of the Baltic states. And she said, and this is when the mentality nonsense starts. She says, look, I think the problem is you just don't, it's hard for you to tell. It's hard for you to see because, you're not from here. You don't understand the mentality. And the defense mechanisms kick in and the shutters come down, and that's it. She's won the argument. What she's saying there, it's the ultimate argument from authority. It's saying, I have a unique perspective on this because I'm Russian and I know the Russian mentality. And I am arguing from such a different dimension from you that, it's not even worth talking about. We're finished. That is the use of this phrase mentality that I don't like. Do you know what I'm saying by this?
I do know what you're saying now when you explain it like that. And I think there's almost a religious dimension to it in that, isn't there? It's you can't disprove this because you're not Russian. So, we're not even fighting on a level playing field here. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like people saying, well, it's I've God on my side, so I don't need to argue with you. Those people are very often one and the same person, actually.
Yeah. I thought the word you were going to say was dusha, the Russian dusha, which apparently we can't understand because we don't have souls. We're just
very much the same type of argument, by the way.
Yeah.
The Russian.
We can both read Dostoevsky, but we'll never understand it because we don't have dusha. So.
Yeah, it's just scrawlings on a page for you people. Yeah,
like a dog watching TV. It just never makes sense.
But yeah, and this babushka should say similar things like I can't even say it in English. У вас деньги все решают, and here we have взаимовыручка and доброта and all of that. And I'm like, well, I mean, can you explain the huge level of corruption then? If money doesn't solve anything in Russia, I mean, I'm not sure that's true. I mean, money solves a lot in Russia, a hell of a lot.
More than it probably should. Yeah.
But none of this is to say, I don't know if people are tearing their hair out listening to this. None of this is to say that that I have any animus towards Russia in a negative way. No, absolutely not. And you criticize what you love most. And that's another thing that really breaks my heart, is when, you know, for example, if you say something which is, you know, like an objective fact, like I think we should improve the roads in Russia, most Russians agree with you. But then they say something that breaks my heart, which is like, well, of course, you can't expect Russia to have the same infrastructure as Europe. And I say, why not? Where does it say in Karl Marx that, you know, you must have terrible roads for 18 years? You know, who says Russia can't be as good as Europe or better than Europe or America? Why not? And this is what really breaks my heart, is this, it's this sort of inferiority complex, which is like, you know, as soon as we start talking about Russia, we lower our standards and we lower the bar and say, well, of course we can't be as good as Europe. Like, no, you definitely can. Let's do it. Let's work. Let's fight together and you know, make Russia as good as she can be.